Hi, everybody. It's Laurie Blomer, psychic, channel, animal communicator. We'll talk a little bit about animal communication today. So just kind of really fun and interesting. Woman had contacted me to speak to a squirrel that she has a relationship with. And as much as for several months now, the squirrel had been coming to her home to get peanuts. She would do peanut paste for. And she moved, and she was aware that while a contractor was coming in to do work on this house that she moved out of, the contractor said that this squirrel would come around and be looking for peanuts. So she wanted to have a conversation. And animals always have such a refreshing perspective, from my point of view anyway, in that they have different priorities based on where they are in the food chain, different point of view based on their size, whether they are pack animals or whether they prefer to be solitary, whether they are predator or prey, whether they live on the ground or they spend most of their time up in the trees. All this affects their point of view and their perspective and their opinions on things. And of course, then there's the whole sensory experience as well, whether they have very heightened senses as far as hearing is concerned, smell, sight. One of the things I like to do when working with animals is just tune into their body. I literally will close my eyes, spend some time quieting my mind and quieting my body in a meditative state. And I'll tune into that animal's body as if I'm sort of inhabiting it. And I begin to get a sense for what life is like in that body, what it's like to have a tail, what it's like to have eyes that are situated on the side of your head instead of in the front of your face, what it's like to have extremely sensitive hearing. And it helps me understand their worldview. It also helps me understand where the disconnects are between ours and theirs. Humans are really pretty interesting and confusing to animals, why we do what we do, why we behave in the ways that we do. We tend to look at animals through our priorities and assume, for example, that the cat who's outside in the feral colony would really much rather be inside getting regular meals and having a soft bed to sit on. And sometimes when you tune into that cat from their perspective, they're just fine with the risks of living on the street or living in the wild. They enjoy their freedom, and they really have no desire to be confined in four walls, so to speak. So, and also by tuning into the cat's body, for example, I get a chance to understand how they navigate that world, how they keep themselves safe, how they find food, how they find shelter, all those things. And I'm always humbled by that experience because I realize they're pretty sharp on their own. They don't need human beings to necessarily figure out how to survive and do in order to navigate their world safely. They're on it. They also, animals in general, generally understand the natures of life cycles, of death, of physical being, of aging, and so on. And we don't really struggle with existential questions the way that we do. They're rather matter of fact about things, I find. Doesn't mean they don't engage with other animals or enjoy their company, but they tend not to be in fear of death, for example, or walk around asking themselves questions like, what should I be in this lifetime? What is my life's work? They have a rather beautiful acceptance of what they are and where they are in relationship to other living creatures, even if they are on the bottom of the food chain, for example. They understand the nature of what it is to be what they are and how they relate to others. It's not personal, it's just them being what they are and understanding that other creatures are being what they are. So it's an interesting thing to explore, just to feel your way into an animal's body and see what it's like to inhabit that. So I encourage that as a fun exercise. When I teach animal communication classes, I will send that out as a bit of homework, just a short exercise for people before the class to kind of prime the pump on getting into an animal's experience, because if you want to communicate with them, you really have to understand what their point of view is on things, physically and also emotionally and mentally. Very hard to communicate with someone that you can't relate to. So think about doing that sometime. Just take a few minutes. You could sit outside, you could sit in the comfort of your own home and just close your eyes and go into your imagination and imagine what it's like stepping into that body. You know, what is it like to feel like a bird? What does it feel like to have feathers? and wings and have claws instead of hands. It could be a very quick exercise, but I encourage you to try doing that. And when you open your eyes, jot down a few notes about what that was like, and just sit with a question of, how do I perceive the world differently as a result of perceiving it through another creature's point of view? It's pretty illuminating, and again, I find it very humbling. But give it a shot. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get your feedback on what animal or animals you decided to tune into and what your observations were in looking at the world from their point of view. And don't be surprised if you don't get a few messages from that animal while you're communicating with them. Just a knowing or an understanding of what's important to them, or maybe what is even on their mind. I'm curious to hear from you. My name is Laurie Blomer. I always forget to write down my website beforehand, so I'll do it right now on this piece of paper. It's LaurieBlomer.com, LaurieBlomer.com. Love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I hope to hear from you soon.